David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight there is breaking news just in. What a new report now reveals about the nurse shot and killed in Minneapolis. ABC News obtaining the new DHS report tonight. Preliminary findings just sent to Congress. What it reveals about the nurse shot and killed. Not one, but two federal agents opening fire. And what President Trump just said about the shooting death just moments ago. We'll go live to Matt Rivers in Minneapolis. Also tonight, with tens of millions in life-threatening cold tonight, we're now tracking a potential nor'easter that could come right up the coast into the Northeast. Already tonight, dozens of vehicles at a massive pileup. In New York City, ferry service suspended. Look at the aerials tonight of the ice-filled Hudson River. Ginger Z is here with the forecast on this potential nor'easter. Tonight, the crash landing in NASA plane, flames shooting out from underneath as it was trying to land. Tonight, the alarming findings, that deadly mid-air collision between a passenger jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac. Tonight, right here, you'll see the chilling simulation now showing just how close they were, what that chopper was told to do, and then the crash. In New York City, the trial underway tonight involving three brothers, two of whom were major real estate brokers in New York, Miami, LA. What they're accused of, graphic testimony expected, and what they're now saying. Tonight, the mayor surviving a brazen assassination attempt. A gunman firing an RPG, the SUV taking a direct hit. The heart-stopping moment, a 19-month-old child falling out of an SUV onto the street in traffic. And tonight, the new turn in this case. The dramatic video showing a skier triggering an avalanche and how he survives this. America strong tonight, those beloved bald eagles watched by millions. There's news tonight, what's now happened in the nest. There's also big news after the Bills fired their popular head coach. The major headline coming out of Buffalo tonight.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We do begin tonight with the breaking news. Just in, chilling new details tonight in the deadly shooting of that ICU nurse from the VA in Minneapolis. Tonight, ABC News obtaining a new DHS preliminary report about the moment Alex Pretti was shot and killed. The report just sent to Congress revealing not one, but two federal agents opened fire on Alex Pretti. 10 shots fired in just seconds. The report says DHS conducted a, quote, preliminary review of body camera footage worn by some of the agents. And what President Trump said just moments ago about the shooting death of this nurse. ABC's Matt Rivers leading us off in Minneapolis tonight.
Tonight, ABC News has learned that two federal agents opened fire in the fatal shooting of Minneapolis ICU nurse Alex Pretti. DHS sending a preliminary report to Congress outlining their initial findings after Saturday's fatal shooting. The report says DHS conducted, quote, a preliminary review of body camera footage. It's the first time the agency has acknowledged critical facts and that two firearms were discharged during the incident. The timeline notes that while agents attempted to take Pretti into custody, a struggle ensued and, quote, a Border Patrol agent yelled, "He's got a gun," multiple times. According to the findings, approximately 5 seconds later, a Border Patrol agent discharged his Glock 19 and a Customs and Border Patrol agent fired his Glock 47 at Pretti. At no point in the report does DHS say Pretti attempted to reach for his weapon, and the DHS timeline does not mention Pretti was disarmed before he was shot, as video shows. Tonight, President Trump changing his tone after the ICU nurse was shot and killed here in Minneapolis. Late today, after sending border czar Tom Homan to Minneapolis to take over federal immigration operations, President Trump now saying in his words they're going to, quote, de-escalate a little bit.
You know, we have Tom Homan there now. We put him in there. He's great. And they met with the governor, the mayor, everybody else, and we're going to de-escalate a little bit. But
the president rejecting any characterization that the reduction in personnel was a retreat. Homan replacing Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Greg Bavino with some federal agents set to leave the city. Trump suggesting that maybe Bavino was not the right man for the mission. Bavino out just days after that ICU nurse was killed.
Bavino's very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy, and in some cases that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here.
With no end in sight to the protests, growing scrutiny tonight over what really happened in the fatal shooting of Alex Pretti. Eyewitness videos of Pretti's killing show the Veterans Affairs nurse never brandished a gun, as multiple Trump administration officials claimed just hours after the fatal shooting Saturday. This was what Secretary Kristi Noem told the American people a short time after the news broke, drawing outrage.
This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
President Trump pressed today if Alex Pretti's shooting was justified.
Well, you know, we're doing a big investigation. I want to see the investigation. I'm going to be watching over it. I want a very honorable and honest investigation. I have to see it myself.
In a new statement, Alex Pretti's sister calling her brother her hero and blasting what she called disgusting lies spread about Alex. And as tensions remain high, late tonight, a man charging at Congresswoman Ilhan Omar at a town hall she was leading. Police say using a syringe to spray her with an unknown substance. Omar, unharmed, demanding to keep speaking, appearing to be okay.
We will stay resilient in the face of whatever they might throw at us.
Authorities arresting the man for assault.
And David, as we learn more about the shooting death of that ICU nurse, we're also tracking a developing story tonight just happening out of Arizona. The FBI says they're now investigating after a U.S. Border Patrol agent shot and critically wounded a person near the Arizona-Mexico border. Meanwhile, back here in Minneapolis, so many in this community, David, wondering after the president's new promise of de-escalation if that changes anything here on the streets. David?
All right, Matt Rivers live in Minneapolis leading us off. Matt, thank you. Tonight we have learned Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem requested a meeting at the White House last night. Sources telling ABC News President Trump met with Secretary Noem for 2 hours in the Oval Office. And today the president was asked, will Secretary Noem step down? Is her job safe tonight? Mary Bruce at the White House.
Tonight, President Trump standing by embattled Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem after she falsely accused Alex Pretti of, quote, brandishing his gun and said the ICU nurse was there to, quote, kill law enforcement.
I think she's doing a very good job.
Sources tell ABC News Kristi Noem went to the White House to make her case to the president last night, requesting a meeting after Trump announced border czar Tom Homan would take over operations in Minnesota. Their Oval Office sit-down, sources say, lasted more than 2 hours. Not in the room, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, one of the main architects of Trump's hardline immigration crackdown. In the hours after Pretti was killed, Miller posted that the ICU nurse was an assassin, a comment reposted by Vice President J.D. Vance. Today, Miller accompanying Trump to Iowa. The president asked about Miller's comments.
Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis?
Who is that?
Mr. Pretti, your deputy chief of staff said
not
that.
isn't it? No.
But Trump then shifting blame to Pretti, saying he shouldn't have been carrying a gun, even though he had a permit and never drew his weapon.
With that being said, you know, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. You just can't. And you can't, listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just a very unfortunate incident.
Trump has championed gun rights for years, including the right of people to protest while carrying weapons. But later in the day, he doubled down, criticizing Pretti again for being armed.
I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff.
Tonight, gun owners of America responding. Peaceful protests while armed isn't radical, it's American. The First and Second Amendments protect those rights, and they always have.
Again, David, President Trump is standing by Secretary Kristi Noem, but on Capitol Hill tonight, lawmakers of both parties now say she needs to go. Some calling for her to be fired, others saying she should be impeached. David.
Mary Bruce live at the White House tonight. Mary, thank you. This evening, we're now tracking a potential nor'easter that could come up the East Coast and into the Northeast as tens of millions deal with life-threatening cold already tonight. Below zero wind chills tonight and into tomorrow morning across much of the country. Look at the map there. Below freezing all the way down to southern Florida. And now this potential nor'easter. So Ginger Z has the forecast tonight and Victor Akendo on the brutal cold and the effects of this crippling storm that just hit.
Tonight, the staggering death toll rising as temperatures plummet and a new storm threatens the East Coast. The lake-effect snow machine slamming western Michigan with sub-zero wind chills. In Grand Rapids, this pileup on State Route 6 involving at least 30 vehicles. The freezing temperatures stretching deep into the south where ice storms have left hundreds of thousands without power for days. We're in Nashville's Bellevue neighborhood. This street is closed, and for good reason. On this side, you have all of these down power lines. There are as many as 10 broken power poles on this street alone. These linemen, they're working on repairing this one. Tom Ritchie and his wife Rebecca, who is pregnant, have been in the dark since Sunday. They're sleeping in front of their fireplace.
It's just been freezing cold. I mean, especially when the temperature drops at night. You know, we've got extra blankets, but the cold just seeps through.
In northern Louisiana, on a frozen Interstate 20, hundreds of drivers stranded. Lakeisha Fields and her children stuck for more than 24 hours.
The temperature dropped last night to 21. And I just thank God that we had blankets ahead of time. I always keep blankets in our vehicle. And that kept my kids warm.
Late today, sharing they are safe and now heading home. Ice turning deadly north of Dallas, where authorities in Bonham, Texas, say 3 brothers, ages 6, 8, and 9, died after falling through the ice on a private pond. More than 40 people killed across the storm zone. Bostonians digging out from a top 10 all-time snowstorm just shy of 2 feet.
This is tough. Like, once you get more than a foot in the city, there's no place to put it.
Cars encased in frozen snow all over New York City. And with wind chills in the single digits, enormous chunks of ice clogging New York's Hudson River. Officials suspending all ferry service citywide. David, these crews have been at it since 6 a.m. working to restore power. They'll continue tonight and again tomorrow morning, but it could be days until power is fully restored. David?
Yeah, that scene right there behind you says it all tonight. Victor Akendo, our thanks to you again. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee back with us tonight. Ginger, what do you see?
So not only is it going to stay cold, it's going to get more cold by the weekend, David. Let's go ahead and dive into the forecast where they've lost power in parts of Tennessee or Alabama and still don't have it. Teens for wind chills tomorrow morning, single digits and sub-zero wind chills from New York City to Boston. You can see at 7 below. And yes, down to Fort Myers, Florida, sub-freezing wind chills. Now, all that frigid air is going to meet up with a low pressure system off the coast this weekend. And you've probably heard some chatter about this storm. The closer it gets, the more impacts we would see from coastal North Carolina to Boston. We're going to make that a more concrete forecast as it gets closer. But what I can tell you is that the serious cold, maybe the coldest that Miami's seen in 15 years, comes in by Sunday morning there. For us, Saturday morning, David, the actual air temperature, 5
degrees. All right, Ginger Zee, we'll see you first thing in the morning on GMA. Thank you, Ginger. Tonight, the remarkable images involving a crash landing and NASA research plane coming down, flames shooting out from underneath as it was trying to land. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos tonight.
Tonight, a fiery hard landing for a NASA research plane in Houston, Texas.
The WB-57 crash on the runway.
Watch as the aircraft starts to touch down at Ellington Airport, its landing gear appearing to fail.
Like I said, we just had an aircraft skid down the runway.
The plane skidding on its belly across the runway, smoke and flames trailing behind the aircraft before it comes to a stop. First responders racing to the scene, the number of people on board unclear. In a statement tonight, NASA pointing to a mechanical issue with the aircraft and saying all crew are safe at this time. The WB-57 aircraft flown since the early 70s, used by NASA for research and to capture imagery, and more recently to monitor SpaceX missions.
And David, NASA says a full investigation is underway. Meanwhile, the airport does remain open. David.
All right, Stephanie Ramos tonight. Steph, thank you. We move on tonight to the alarming findings. It was 1 year ago, that deadly midair collision between a passenger jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River. Tonight, right here, you'll see the chilling simulation now, showing just how close they were, what the chopper was then told to do, and then the collision. Here's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, the NTSB is pointing to a series of systemic failures that caused the deadly crash between an American Airlines flight and a Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac. 67 people killed almost exactly a year ago.
This was preventable. This was 100% preventable.
The NTSB sharing these cockpit simulations demonstrating what the pilots likely saw on that January night, moments before the crash. From the chopper, we see that purple circle in the distance. That's the American Airlines flight. It appears to look like a light. Then, suddenly, the jet appears to be in view, but it was too late. It was also hard for that American Airlines flight making its final approach to see the Black Hawk circled in the distance. Seconds later, the impact. Investigators saying the air traffic controller told the chopper to pass behind the plane, but because of a transmission issue, the chopper crew never heard the command. Controllers had been sounding the alarm about traffic at Reagan National for years, and during a lengthy NTSB board hearing today, investigators slammed the FAA for ignoring the warnings.
How is it that no one, absolutely no one, in the FAA did the work to figure out there was only 75 feet, at best, 75 feet of vertical separation?
And David, last week the FAA made a permanent change saying that helicopters and planes can no longer share that same airspace around that airport. David.
Gio Benitez, who's been covering this last year. Gio, thank you. Here in New York City tonight, the trial getting underway involving three multimillionaire brothers, two of whom are major real estate brokers in the U.S., New York, Miami, L.A. On day one of their federal sex trafficking trial, prosecutors telling the judge that Oren Tal and their brother Alon Alexander, quote, masqueraded as party boys when really they were predators, alleging they repeatedly drugged and sexually assaulted women and girls over 2 decades. Graphic testimony is expected in this trial. The brothers have pleaded not guilty. Tonight, TikTok settling a major social media lawsuit ahead of a landmark trial in Los Angeles County. The lawsuit claims social media companies, including TikTok, Meta, and YouTube, have engineered their platforms to addict children to their product, in part through unlimited scrolling and notifications, ultimately leading to mental health issues. TikTok no longer part of this suit, Snapchat also settling. Meta insisting it has made meaningful changes for young users. YouTube says the allegations are not true. When we come back here tonight, the brazen assassination attempt, caught on video, attackers firing an RPG at a mayor, his SUV taking a direct hit right there, what we've learned about this. Also, the dramatic video of a skier triggering an avalanche, how he survives this in a moment here. The heart-stopping moment, a 19-month-old child falls out of an SUV onto the street in traffic, and tonight there's a new turn in this case here. And after firing their popular head coach, the major headline coming out involving the Buffalo Bills tonight. A lot more news ahead here. Stay tuned. Tonight, a mayor in the Philippines surviving an RPG attack on his SUV. The incident captured on security cameras. One camera recording an attacker getting out of a white van and firing a shoulder-mounted anti-tank weapon. A second camera from across the street showing the mayor's black SUV being hit right here. The mayor was okay. 2 members of his team were injured. Local media tonight reporting 3 suspects have been killed by police. To the Canadian Rockies tonight, where a skier survived an avalanche. Take a look. Video capturing the skier on a backcountry run in Alberta, Canada. The heart-stopping moment, the mountainside gives way. The skier riding the fall right to the bottom. Reportedly buried to the waist, losing both skis, but remarkably uninjured. When we come back here tonight, the big headline from the Buffalo Bills tonight after firing their head coach, what we've now learned. Also the heart-stopping video tonight, the toddler falling out of a car in traffic, the new turn in this case tonight, right here in a moment. To the index of other news, a California mom has been taken into custody after her 19-month-old child fell out of an SUV onto the road in traffic. The child tumbling out from the front seat as that car made a turn, the mother braking, jumping out, picking up the child, then driving away. Police say a witness later came forward. That mother now facing charges. The child had minor injuries, but is okay. Tonight, after the firing of head coach Sean McDermott, the Buffalo Bills have named his successor, the team promoting offensive coordinator Joe Brady to head coach, signing him to a 5-year deal. Under McDermott, the team made the playoffs 8 of the last 9 seasons, but never quite got across the finish line. That team's still hungry for that Super Bowl win. When we come back here tonight, those beloved bald eagles watched by millions across this country. Well, there's news coming in from their nest tonight. In a moment here. Finally tonight here, the famous bald eagles, the mom and dad, and the news coming in from their nest. Tonight, the big news here from that famous family of bald eagles in Southern California in the San Bernardino National Forest. We've reported on them before, mom and dad, Jackie and Shadow, capturing the world's attention. So many watching that nest cam live. It was last year in March. Their babies hatching at the same time, very rare for bald eagles. The baby eagles named Sunny and Gizmo growing right before our eyes. The nonprofit Friends of Big Bear Valley tracking them with a 24-hour solar-powered camera. After about 3 months, the 2 siblings taking flight, leaving the nest. In recent weeks, the new development. Mom and dad have been observed building up their nest, and now we know why. Jackie laying an egg over the weekend last Friday night. Dad Shadow flying in, appearing to inspect. And then overnight last night, Jackie laying a second egg. The two parents taking turns sitting on the eggs, keeping them safe and warm around the clock. Tonight, scientists say in about 35 days or so, we may start to see them hatch. So tonight here, all eyes back on that nest as those two bald eagles, Jackie and Shadow, prepare to grow their family. And we will keep you posted right here. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.